Welcome to Eric Unfiltered. I am your host, Eric, a Gen Xer from Connecticut, where I get into local and national news, politics, and culture. No topic is off limits, no feelings are spared. No mainstream sugar-coated BS here. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's get on with the show. Let me start off today by saying I don't want to do this. I am in a mood, and not a good one. I have had a long week, like many of you. I just wanted to come home and relax today. That's all I wanted to do. I have been stressing my mind this week. For those of you that are just tuning in or the first time tuning in, first off, thank you. But in case you are unaware, I am currently taking broadcasting classes. I'm in broadcasting school. I'm having a lot of fun, but it's coming up to the wire. We're coming to the finish line, and it's been very stressful. This week was extremely stressful. We had a pre-final for our podcast final, and then we had the final last night. It was stressful. It went very well. Shout out to Dexter, Bella, Johnny, and David. They were awesome. Everybody was awesome. Everybody, even in class, all of you were awesome. But after stressing all week and then putting in the work for that and doing class last night and getting home late and not sleeping well and everything else, I just wanted to come home and relax. But no. The internet is on fire because of what has happened in Minneapolis regarding the ICE-involved shooting. So as you can tell, that is going to be the first story I cover today. I'm going to get into at least one more, even though, like I said, I don't want to record today. I'm just not in the mood. To be honest, I don't want to do this. I really just want to shut it off and walk away. But I posted that I was going to record, and I have to. Man of my word. But the second story is also going to be in Minneapolis, and if you are in tune with the news, then you already know what that topic's going to be covering. But here in the first one, let's get into the ICE, what is that? Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement involved shooting that happened yesterday. What was it? The 7th of January in Minneapolis. So, of course, I'm sure all of you are aware of it and heard of it, and everybody has an opinion about it. Of course. As do I, which is why I'm here, which is why I'm recording, right? We all have an opinion to this. However, most people are retarded, and their opinions are stupid. And I'm personally sick and tired of the crying, which is why I'm here to cry. I'm going to be crying, not literally, but I am going to be bitching about everybody's bitching. I have been working really hard lately to filter myself here. I know the podcast is unfiltered, and if you go back and listen to a lot of my earlier stuff, there was no filter. I have been really working hard to be a little bit better, especially because of my instructor. Thank you, Joe, and his tutelage, but it's going to be really hard for me tonight. So, sensitive ears, be forewarned. The filter is good. There's going to be some holes in it tonight. Because the outcry for this poor woman, this poor innocent woman, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I really don't. I have as much sympathy for this woman as so many had for Ashley Babbitt. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Am I happy that a human being is dead? No. Of course not. I'm not on the political left. I don't cheer for the death of people. However, why the fuck were you there? What were you doing? She was a mother. Shouldn't your kids be the main focus of your life? What are you doing, lady? Now look. I don't care where anybody stands on deportations and immigration enforcement and all of that. It doesn't matter. I've said it here before. You could be on this woman's side. You could be dead set against law enforcement deportations. Fine. I wholeheartedly disagree with you, but you can believe that. Fine. And you could be far right than me and want literally door to door kicked in and get people, deported. Okay, fine. I don't exactly agree with you either, but you can be wherever you are on the spectrum of immigration enforcement or any kind of law enforcement. That's fine. But when you have children, they should be your main focus. I'm not saying this woman or anybody that goes and protests any kind of stuff like this shouldn't have an opinion. I'm not saying that. You are allowed to have an opinion. You are allowed to protest as well. You can go and stand and hold a sign and you could chant blah, 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 whatever you want. Whether I agree with you or not, that's irrelevant. But when you are interfering with a law enforcement activity of any kind, I don't care if it's immigration, I don't care if it's a murder investigation, you don't get involved if you don't need to be involved. If this lady wanted to protest, by all means. I disagree with her beliefs. Okay, fine. But she can go protest, and everybody there, and all the cities, and all the bullshit. You can protest whatever you want. When you interfere with law enforcement, that's a problem for you. You are at minimum going to get detained. This woman, from all reports, and again, I am not even going to go into a search or anything because there is so much ish on the internet that I don't even know what details are true at this point. None of you do either. The news, first off, we all know they're full of crap. Right? I don't care who you tune into, major networks or locals. They're all full of crap. They don't know. They're the first. All they're doing is trying to be the first ones to be wrong. That's all they're doing. If it bleeds, it leads. Hence why this is my first story today. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the details. I know some. I've heard some reports. I've heard reports that are being repeated by different outlets that I trust. However, is the information they're getting accurate as well? I don't know at this point. As I've stated in other episodes regarding other high-profile things that happen, I really kind of want to let the dust settle a little bit on this. However, on the things that I have seen, I will give you my opinion of. Now, you can think I'm a total schmuck. Fine, by all means, get in line. You aren't the first, and you will not be the last. Oh, and also, I don't give a shit. I don't care what your opinion is of me. Or you could totally agree with me. Great, I don't care. But from the reports, this woman, her last name I believe was Good, was 37 years old and a mother, and she clearly was not in favor of immigration enforcement, and so she went to this protest. Now there are some reports, again, I'm air quotes, reports, rumors that she was like the head car of some convoy to block immigration vehicles and such. Again, I don't know. These are reports. These are rumors. These are things that are being said. There are people saying, no, that's not the case, and others that say yes. So again, what do we believe? That's why it's amazing to me that everybody is so staunch on their side. So staunch. The only thing I'm staunch on is this lady was a mother. Why are you involved in any of this bullshit? Again, if she wanted to go and protest and hold a sign, fine, by all means. Fine. I disagree with her views, but by all means. But if she knew what she was doing, She FAFO'd yesterday. If you don't know what that means, look it up. FAFO. She effed around and found out. From the video that I saw, and of course there's a ton of videos, and as I have posted on my social media, be careful of what's out there. There is a lot of really good AI videos out there. I don't know if anybody is. I'm sure people have made ones about this. I am sure. So be careful because, again, people are always trying to stoke the flames of division. So many of us are already divided on so much, especially immigration. And then this happens. I'm going to take a step back for a sec because people are going to go, well, he shouldn't have shot. Have you ever been put in a situation like that? If the answer is no, then do me and everyone a favor and shut the F up. Because, like you, I haven't either. I, fortunately, have never been in a life or death situation or any situation that was that chaotic. I have never been in a situation like that. So I don't know how I would react. All of us think we know how would you don't know. Are you training, Rambo? No, you're not. Like me, you're not out there hitting it, right? You're not getting after it. You're not Jocko Willink. Shut up. You think you know how you would react. You don't know. So shut up. I'm not telling anybody how I would react because I don't know how I would react. I have never been standing in front of a vehicle where obviously I am on opposing sides to the person that is behind the wheel operating the vehicle and then having that vehicle lurch towards me. I don't know how I would react. Neither do you. I would personally not put myself in the situation, hence why I am not a person who wears a uniform and carries a firearm every day. I am not in law enforcement because I don't want to do that. That's terrifying to me. Hats off to all of you. I mean, really. The first responders, soldiers, all of you. You're braver than me. All the women in uniform got bigger balls than me. But anyways, this woman, in my opinion, should have spent more time at home with her kids or at work and not on the internet dealing and wanting to get involved to the point where she put herself in harm's way. Now, I know I'm starting to derail here. Like I said, I had to cover this, and I didn't want to. From what I saw in the video, thankfully it's winter time, and I'm not the only one that has mentioned this. The reason why I say this is because the vehicle that woman was driving was on a patch of ice. Now, again, you can go online and look at the video. There's different angles, and everybody's a critic, right? Everybody's a critic. But from what I saw, from what my 4 eyes saw, this woman turned the wheel to the left in the direction of the officer. We can sit and split hairs and we can Monday morning quarterback it all we want. But this is what I saw. As she was being ordered to exit the vehicle, she clearly disobeyed orders. Now, even if it was a standard traffic stop, if you don't pull over and roll down your window for the officer, how is that gonna end for you? It's not gonna end well, right? Probably not. Well, she was being ordered to get out of the vehicle. She didn't, obviously. She put it in gear, and the vehicle lurched. We can all Monday morning quarterback and say the officer didn't have to discharge his firearm. He could have jumped on the hood. Okay, none of us were there. We weren't there. We don't know what was going through his head or her head. We don't know. None of us know. None of us are in that situation, especially on a daily basis. We don't know. All I know is from what I saw, the wheels spun on the ice. I do not think nor believe that this woman was intending to harm or worse this officer. I do not believe that. I have heard people say, she tried to kill. No, I don't believe that. I honestly think she FAFO'd and things got a little too real, and she was like, oh crap, they want me out of the car and I'm about to get arrested. This shit just got real. And she panicked. In my opinion, that's what happened. She panicked. And then when the officer pulled the firearm out of his holster and pointed it at the driver, that's when you see the wheel turn the other way. I think, again, adrenaline kicked in and panic happened when, that typically happens when a loaded firearm is pointed at your face. And we all know what happened after that. Now, again, we can all sit here and discuss that the officer, he shouldn't have, he had no right to. Some people say there was clearly no evidence of self-defense. Oh, so you're a lawyer now. You're an expert. You were on the scene, Mayor. Shut up. Again, the details are really foggy right now. There is clearly going to be an investigation and so on and so forth. But there is another thing that I want to drive a point home on. Even after this happened, the powers that be, the governor and the mayor, were espousing more of their rhetoric. And then they want to start talking about bringing in the National Guard to fight against federal agents. It's really weird. But the rhetoric is, in my opinion, what has led up to this crap. Again, you don't have to be in favor of deportations. That's fine. I am. I love it. I love it. I don't care. I don't. That's fine. You don't have to agree with me, or you could, whatever. It does not matter. But leading up to this, politically in this country, if you haven't noticed, we're kind of at odds, the left versus the right, which ultimately is all bullshit. Because at the end of the day, isn't Team America supposed to win? I think we've all lost sight of that. I think we all have. But anyways, we have all of this rhetoric. Trump is a Nazi. ICE, they're all fascists. We need to fight fascism, get out in the streets, and on all of this. And that is doing nothing but sowing more political division. And then that leads to more political violence. As if we haven't seen enough of that lately. I mean, Trump was shot at twice. He was actually hit once. Let's see. Charlie Kirk was murdered. Yeah. Could we dial it back, please? Now, I'm saying that, and I know many people on the right that say that, but there are so many people on the left. It's like, dude. Like, I was listening to Reese on the radio on my way home today, and he was saying he was talking to somebody that's on the political left that was going to some protest today, and he was talking and asking them, like, when you look at an officer of the law, whoever it is, whether it's a federal agent, a local cop, it doesn't matter, they're people, they're mothers and fathers, they're sons and daughters, and the person basically said, not when they have that uniform on. They're a pig. It's like, they're still a person. They could be a jerk. They could be a giant douchebag. I don't know. But they're still a human being. Just like me. Just like you. I don't get it. But the whole division and the rhetoric, it's just going more and more. And then after this happens, you have the mayor and the governor spewing more rhetoric, and it just makes it worse. Nobody wants to turn down the burner. I do. How about you? I know in this country, the political left is relishing in this. They don't care about this woman either. They don't. but they love the political points they're making off of her corpse, just like they do with kids after a school shooting. They don't give a damn about this woman, just like the left doesn't give a shit about George Floyd. It fit a narrative, and we all know what happened. And when you have political people like mayors and governors, after something like this that happens, telling people like in Detroit, Chicago, and Los Angeles to take to the streets to protest this, all you are doing is sowing more bullshit. More violence, more nonsense. Do you know why these politicians can go out there and say this? And I don't give a damn what side of the aisle they're on. Do you know why they're able to go out there and say stuff like this to get you fired up? Because it's not happening in their neighborhood. That's not coming to their front door. It's coming to your neighborhood and my neighborhood and the poor people's neighborhoods. It's not going to the mayor's mansion. That's why they can go out there and spew their nonsense. Hey, governor. Yeah, hey, Timmy. Hey, the mayor, whatever your numbnuts. Could you dial back the rhetoric, please? A woman is dead. Whether you're like me and don't really give a damn, or you're all these people that are like, justice for... Could you calm it down, please? Could you calm it down? That's all I'm asking. I'm not alone. I'm not glad that this woman's dead. I don't care. I don't know her. It doesn't affect my life, just like it doesn't affect yours. But I'm not going to sit here and cheer for it. I'm not happy. I'm not joyful. I'm not full of sorrow and grief because I don't know her, but I'm not happy to see it. I wish she was at home cooking dinner for her kids right now. She made choices. So did the officer. Whether you agree with them or not, it does not matter. What happened, happened. Choices were made. A life is lost. An investigation is going to happen. If wrongdoing was done, then they pay the piper. You know, that's how it works. But to do more division, to sow more division, to create more violence, to destroy cities and protest, or any of that, doesn't solve anything. It only creates more hate and division. But like I said, they're going to do whatever they want to do. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I'm gonna stop talking about this right here and get into the next topic because I really don't know what else to add outside of I don't care. I'm not happy. I'm not gloating. I'm not relishing, nor should anybody. But I have as much sympathy as the people on the left did for Ashley Babbitt. I know I mentioned her name earlier, and in case you don't know who she is, she was the only person to die on January 6th. January 6th. Ode to Mr. Knowles. If you know, you know. Worst day in American... No, I'm kidding. But yes, she was shot. She was murdered by a Capitol police officer when she was looking through a window. She was there. She was actually a veteran. She was trying to prevent people from destroying the Capitol, but she was murdered for that. And you know what people said? Good. Another dead maggot. Or she shouldn't have been there. If she was at work, she would have been alive. That is the stuff I heard regarding Ashley Babbitt. Oh, I also recall the left squealing when Donald Trump was shot in the ear about, damn, too bad the shooter didn't have better aim. And then just recently in September, all of the wonderful, wonderful rhetoric that I heard and read from the political left in this country about Charlie Kirk. Yes, if you don't know, go and look it up. Some of the stuff that was said. It is reprehensible what was said. And I'm supposed to give a damn about some protester that FAFO'd yesterday? Nah. I'm not happy. I'm not gloating. I'm I'm not doing cartwheels. I'm not happy. That's why, like I said, I didn't want to record today because I didn't want to get into this. I am mentally exhausted, but I had to. I don't care. I'm numb. I am numb to this. I'm not happy, but I'm numb. All I can say is, you can have your opinions and your feelings about what happened. You can have your feelings and opinions over protests and deportations and all that. And you can stand outside of an ICE facility on the sidewalk across the street with your sign chanting, go home and F you, and fine. But when you put yourself in between law enforcement and their task. I don't care if it's immigration. I don't care if it's the CIA, FBI, local sheriffs. It does not matter. If you put yourself in between law enforcement and their task, you are a problem and you will be dealt with accordingly. Does that mean you deserve to die? No, it does not. Does that mean you are always no? But it is a chance. It's not zero. Don't put yourself in a situation where your chances of not going home go up, which is why you don't drive 130 miles an hour on the back roads when it's snowing, right? You want to get home safely. Do the same thing when you go to a protest, regardless of the protest. Don't get involved with a law enforcement operation, and this won't happen. Enough said. Moving on. Staying in Minnesota and Minneapolis. Oh boy, can we all get a big badass shout out to Nick Shirley? If you don't know who Nick Shirley is, you better get your butt on X and give him a follow. Nick Shirley, you young man, you whippersnapper, you are making me proud. All right, who is Nick Shirley? Nick Shirley is a very young YouTuber. When he started off, he was like most YouTubers, young and dumb and making goofy videos with his friends. I honestly never saw them. I never looked them up. But recently, Nick has been getting into, journalism, on the ground journalism. So with some help with his friend David, I don't know his last name, Nick Shirley released a video, I believe it was 42 minutes long, on YouTube, and it has exploded because Nick Shirley has exposed a tremendous multi-billion-dollar fraud scam in Minneapolis, Minnesota, regarding daycare centers. If you have been on the socials prior to yesterday's events, you will see a whole buttload of memes regarding Somalis, and it's hilarious. The memes are glorious. I love them. Especially the boat captain there. Oh my God, the memes are great. So anyway, what Nick Shirley did, and this guy David, apparently David has been investigating daycare centers in and around Minneapolis, Minnesota for, I believe, a couple years now, and has noticed that these daycare centers don't have children, which they kind of do, right? Daycare centers, yeah, it's kind of like hospitals with no patients, doesn't make sense. So in this video, not every location he went to, but several. I think he went to 11 of them? And there were windows blacked out. There was one where he tried to register his own child. I was just asking questions, and they were like, why would you want to do that? It's like, it's a daycare center, bro. What? So yeah, they blew the cover off of this because these daycare centers are getting your money. That's right, tax subsidies and all that good stuff. Yeah, they're getting your money, and there's no kids. They're not teaching anybody at the Learing Center. I'm learning Learing. I don't know. I didn't learn my ABDs. Yeah, one of the places was called the Learing Center, the Children's Learing Center, because the sign was spelt wrong. Yeah, that should have been a red flag, but So how much money? How much, you ask? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Well, the quick synopsis on what he found was, let's see, one example was he went to, yes, the misspell, I love this, the Quality Learing Center, and they claim to have received $4 million, and others totaling over $110 million in fraudulent payments. Let's see here. Also, all under the taxpayer-funded payments, let's see, through the Child Care Assistance Program, the CCAP. Wow. Wow, dude. That's an awful lot of money to go to daycare centers where there's no kids during the day for care. That should be a problem for a lot of people. Nope. No, it wasn't. Because there were actual politicians. This is actually before the Nick Shirley thing came out. Stuff started coming out regarding deportations of Somalis. And then we had, was it Mayor Wu of Boston? And then somebody else, I think. I want to say it was Mayor Wu. Don't quote me on that. But it was some politician was talking about how Somalis built America. Yeah. And, without Somalis, and I'm like, okay, whatever, you moron. But then you have all of these fraudsters up in Minneapolis, just Minneapolis. Just from a quick search, it was over $100 million in fraud. Your money going to daycares where there's no children. That should be alarming. Governor Walz wants an investigation into yesterday's shooting, but knows nothing about this. That's why he dropped out of the race. Yeah, he's no longer running for governor because he's involved, or at least knows. And there is a lot of other people that know, and there is a lot of other cities and states that this stuff is coming out. Not just Somali daycares, but other daycares and other such things. People are discovering there's nobody there, or there's no children there, and there's no there. Why are you getting money? Why are you getting taxpayer money? That should be a freaking problem, and it is. But no, nobody in Minneapolis wants to investigate this. No, everybody is saying Nick Shirley's a racist. And that his partner David's a giant racist. Okay, maybe they are. Fine, whatever. But there's fraud here, right? Right? So fraud. So the fraud's going on. I don't care if it was a racist or whatever. That there's fraud going on, right? Okay, I care more about that than this person's personal opinions. I really don't care. What next? You're gonna tell me he's a Dolphins fan? I'm gonna give a shit? I don't care. He's exposing fraud. I don't believe he's a racist. It's everybody's just pointing fingers because it's the ethnic stuff. It's, they're Somalis, so we got to come to their aid. Okay, if you're from Somalia, I personally don't care. But if you're from Somalia and you're on the government dole, or you are, I don't know, defrauding my money, yeah, I kind of have a problem with that. I don't care if you're from Belfast, Ireland. If you're here defrauding my country and stealing my money, yeah, get the fuck out. Why are you here? I hate you. Get out, you loser. I don't care where you're from. But nobody wants to investigate that. Everybody wants to put roadblocks up. And then I saw some of the big news stations go out and try to debunk this. And of course, did they go to all of the same locations Nick Shirley went to? No, of course not. They do the cursory stuff. Well, we went to this place and it's open. Look, there's children. Pff, he's full of crap. You're missing the point. Clearly, you're missing the point. Plus, just a few years ago, Minneapolis had all these riots and fires. The Summer of Love, right? Everybody remembers that. Why? What is going on up there? I remember when Minnesota was cool. And I don't mean just temperature-wise. I mean, Minnesota was cool. What is going on in Minneapolis? For everybody else in that state that's normal, I am so sorry. Why? What is going on? Do better. You have an election coming up. And Tampon's not running anymore. So Choose wisely. Please. Unbelievable. Nobody wants to investigate fraud. We found fraud in Connecticut. And of course, everybody wants to turn a blind eye. Why? Why? That should piss you off. Even if you, especially if you work in the government, are you living paycheck to paycheck like the rest of us? Or do you just not give a damn? Because I would like our money to not go overseas to a bunch of losers. Let's keep it here. But that's just me. What the hell do I know? I'm just an asshole on the internet. All right, I've been rambling on long enough. I am exhausted. I am going to go relax now. I am going to go and do the thing I have been wanting to do for the last 2 hours since I walked in the door from work. So I'm going to go do that now. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and since I hope you enjoyed the new beginning, I'm going to stick with that one for a while. But since I don't have my links up there, my links will be in the description of this episode. But if you are interested, you can follow me on Facebook at Eric Unfiltered Podcast and on X at Eric Not Sorry. And so thank you for tuning in. There will be a new episode very soon. I'm sure I will do a follow-up to the first segment on this. And I'll probably do a better version of the second segment because I did not have my best effort today, and I apologize for that. I'm exhausted. So, once again, thank you for tuning in, and until next time, keep being you.